Okay. Um, if we can get started, please. Ian, Ian,
I do, Paul. Give me one moment.
sure.
If we could, and I didn't have a chance to talk to the chief, but two areas I think we need to seriously focus on. One in particular is this past weekend, the shootings that we had within the city. And if we could, I think we need, it seems none of them were related, but it all comes down to education, policy, plan, and frankly, getting guns off the street. And even if it means that we begin discussions with the feds on implementing a plan that they would have to get guns off the street, which we have in the past. But it seems that as we're getting into summer, and Friday, Saturday were days where people were outside, people had parties, and then I think we just need to get the education and plan involved on that people understand you don't solve your argument with a gun, and then in turn, they shouldn't have had them to begin with, and the guns can come off the street. So if we can somehow talk to PD, discuss with them if we need to bring in the feds, get some grant money, and go after it. Get the guns out of the neighborhood, off the street. We've done it before. There are certain federal projects that we can go after, federal money. Let's see if we can do that now, because we're getting into summer, and we tell you what, it's not going to be better. The other thing is the PD boat that we had the incident with. If we could get a report on that, and also how Norfolk PD's boat that had the accident in Willoughby Harbor.
Was it our boat?
Yeah. If we could get an investigation of that, and also how the asset has been treated, meaning is there an insurance claim that we get back from, and how it occurred. Because I am not a boater. I'm the first to say that the one boat I owned in my life sunk at a pier.
That's better than
Literally,
a parking lot.
it sunk at a pier. So if we could, I'd like to know what happened there. I mean, there were 5 people that were injured. It took a lot of city assets to take care of these people. What was going on and what happened? And for the pictures that were shown in the media of the boat, show it in a position that it really never should have been in. So I'd like to figure out what occurred there. Also with Cox and our franchise agreement, how often does that come up? Do we know with Cox Cable?
We said it, and I can't remember the term we did last time. I can find out for you.
Well, let me tell you what, and this is a personal story that we've run into, and if it's their policy, then it needs to be mentioned in the franchise agreement that their policy cannot be this. When an attempt goes to turn off cable at a home, and that the requirement is you cannot do it over the telephone because the person has passed away, that you must present yourself and a death certificate at a Cox Cable store, requiring an individual to take half a day or a portion of a day out of work to present themselves as an executor of an estate, even if that, show a death certificate or a power of attorney that lets you do that, that is unconscionable. And they need to know that. And I can tell you that a satellite provider in a similar situation turned it off with a phone call. So we need to examine if there's something in our agreement that allows them, puts them under the, they have their monopoly, be that as it may, we have that, it's the systems that we live under today. But the bottom line is, they can't have it like that. And that policy needs to be changed. Lastly, Marcus, I think you're going to have through Community Services Board, through their budget, the crisis intervention team type of discussion that is going to come to you. I think it goes under CTI, if I believe I'm correct, or CIT. If you could, I know that they're seeking funds for proper training off of PD. I know we send officers out to certain training, but if you could have an open mind as to their requests, because what their ideas are very good. And if you could, when Sarah comes and talks to you, that you give that really high consideration in the budget. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad Andy brought the topic of shootings. It's a bad weekend for us, and it's not just peculiar to Norfolk, it's nationwide. But as Andy said, we need to do something to alleviate the problem in our communities. The police department, I don't care how strong the force might be, if an incident is going to happen, and there's no telling when it's going to happen and where it's going to happen, it's hard to stop it. But there are some other things we can do as far as education is concerned, and making youngsters realize that everything doesn't have to happen. It had to be settled with a gun. I had a constituent to suggest that we have a gun buyback program. I do remember years ago when John Foster, led that program. So I think that's something, Marcus, we need to look at, see if there's anything to it that would be of value to us. One of the incidents happened over in Tidewater Park. And I was told that because of the poor lighting over there, a lot of the lights have been removed over there, that the police department had a tough time actually responding to the area where the two youngsters were shot. One of the problems we have over in Tidewater is that NRHA and the city of Norfolk and Public Works, you have an idea that one day that area, might be raised, but until that happens, we still need to give the residents over there all of the services that we give other communities. We can't, just stop because we think it's, going to be raised one day. So we need to pay attention to that. That's all I have.
Specifically, Marcus, Paul and I had this conversation. The lighting on Charlotte as it continues across St. Paul's and back into Tidewater Park, the lights there are very dark. I mean, there aren't any lights. In fact, I'm told when the police came out after the shootings, everybody had to break out their flashlights, just to get okay. So that's something we could remedy quickly, it seems to me. You could do that as our manager tomorrow, and let John, pull it out of his budget or something, but go into Tidewater Park, especially there on Charlotte where the lights are down, and, and do something quickly. Okay? Mrs. Green?
Yes, ditto to what has been said about the shootings over the weekend, and it's very sad that it ended in the loss of the life of a young lady. Also, I want to ask you to bring down the Lake Taylor girls team. They did it again this year after doing it last year, even under the change of the VHSL rules. So I think we should bring them down.
Get them as soon as we can get them.
Okay.
Tonight. Right.
Ditto. On the gun shooting, I've asked about a gun amnesty a couple of different times since I've been on this council. And the response that I have gotten is somewhat understandable. But when we have children who are accidentally shot, when we have young people who are killed, that the gun might be the only thing that helps us to solve a murder case might not, I'm not sure that actually holds weight. So some kind of, drop the gun off, leave it at the police station, no questions asked, wipe it down, whatever the case is, as a part of an effort to get the guns off the street. And maybe too, in looking at what we're doing with the schools, is some special funding for training for young people in not handling guns, who report it to a teacher if you see a gun, something that lets children know, and what Andy said about, how you handle a dispute, how do you handle a problem. It's not to go and get a gun and shoot somebody. But it was an awful weekend for us in Norfolk, and our kids are worth more than that, and our citizens are better than that, and we have to do something to get the guns off the street. Can we get an update on what's going on at Waterside?
Sure.
Like what's happening? I mean, you kind of see, but can we just get an update on what's going on over there?
A formal update, okay.
Yeah, and that's all I have.
Two things. First, I don't know if this is a new policy that has been enacted by our new city treasurer, but I've received a few complaints from citizens about a credit card charge. Now that if you pay your taxes, that they're charging a fee for using credit card. I don't know if that was,
We approved it last week.
Yeah.
oh, that's the one I left.
Yeah. You weren't here. You
Okay.
didn't vote for it.
Thank
You
you.
weren't
Okay.
here.
All right. Sorry, I
did
missed
not-
that one.
Did not vote for it.
Okay.
It's allowed by code.
Okay,
And in fact, I was in Petersburg General District Court.
yeah,
My client had to pay a fine, it's $500, on a reckless driving.
yeah.
That was reduced from DUI.
Okay.
It was a successful day. Be that as it may, but when he went to pay with his credit card, the woman told him at the counter, she said, it's $500 fine, but the 4%, I think it was 4%, and she calculated it out to whatever, $32,
Yeah.
will be added on as the credit card fee. So municipalities are doing this,
Okay.
because that's something that when you pay with your credit
I
card.
wasn't criticizing, I just wanted to ask, and I missed it, obviously.
Well, I
So-
think what it does, it allow, but I think even the answer, I mean, the question and the answer that you get now is something that at least people are hearing it and they'll understand it from watching this particular body. So you can do that by statute. It is fairly new. And I remember talking to Anthony about it, and then I saw it in another jurisdiction. And I was quite surprised because the woman calculated it very quickly. She said it's going to be X number, and then she said, "Do you still want me to use your credit card?" And he said, "Yes, go ahead," because he wanted to pay his fine and get it over with.
Tommy, it costs the city about $250,000
No, I know.
a year.
No, I know.
That's a good question.
Was it
It's a great
850?
question.
I'm not sure that.
I think sometimes
I'm
it's
sure
how
that
it's
a lot of cities
advertised
don't
too.
pay.
I agree.
That's the issue, is when you just put it in somebody's
Issue.
face.
Well, it's probably the notice.
Yeah.
We felt we probably should have given 30 days.
Right.
I'm not sure we should have ever allowed it
Right.
without being able to get it.
Well, perhaps if they're not doing it the way they did in Petersburg, perhaps that may be a lesson learned that they can say, if you pay by card, we're going to do the file instead of just doing it. I don't know how that came about.
Well, I just found out my own bank account by using debit was charging, and I missed the notice because I get my bank statements online and I don't read them, but it said on there. No, I keep track of the electronic one, but I don't read the statement. And on that electronic statement, it said, we're going to start imposing a $1 fee every time you use, we want you to use credit, and they don't want me using the ATM, the debit side of it, so. And I, was able to get that taken care of by the time it racked up some stuff. I'm going to add on to the shootings this weekend. It was interesting Monday morning walking into school. I was walking up a staircase and I overheard a group of students talking about the shooting. And it's interesting because I think it impacted a lot of teenagers at different schools. So there was probably drama going through a lot of the school buildings. But it was intriguing was the young ladies were saying that's why we don't go to any parties anymore, because people are bringing guns and shooting people. And I think in today's social media age, and it's all about sensationalism and that they want to be seen, being a criminal, or kids, they want to drive by and shoot somebody and be seen by multiple people. It's the weirdest thing. It's almost like they want to be caught doing the crime. In this case, maybe not so, but it is that education piece. And, I go back to when Anthony Burfoot worked with the Gang Squad and they put together that video, and they were showing that in elementary schools and they were doing assemblies. Now that video is really outdated, and maybe some summer interns can work on producing a new video that we can go back into the elementary schools and start educating our youth about it. I think that's where you have to start. And in the middle schools, and getting speakers in, working with the courts. One of the most powerful things is when a judge goes and does an assembly to a group of middle school kids and says, do you know what the consequences are if you are to be involved in this? A lot of this has been thrown back on the schools to be able to do this. And we're so busy with SOL testing and everything else that we don't think about those things. And so sometimes you need to be reminded, or the resources need to be there to be able to help the schools to implement those types of assemblies and things. But we need to go back to that. I remember when that was happening, and I would hear about kids saying, oh yeah, we went to this assembly and the vice mayor was there with his bow tie talking, But I think, we've got a new vice mayor, maybe needs to get up there and inspire young women and talking about how to not be involved in that. We've got college kids this summer that could probably put together our new updated awesome video, and are working with the police department. It's about education. I think that would make a difference. And the second part of that is what they said about we don't go to those parties anymore. What do our teenagers have to do on the weekends? Are there activities and things for them to do that are positive? You know, I know the issue, you know, waterside dances at one time and what happened with that. But what kind of functions do we have during those moments where we know they're going to be attracted to going to a party at somebody's house, and getting them positive activities where, you know, there can be some monitoring that it won't get out of hand. You always have to be careful with events like that. We're careful with school dances, but we need to look at those types of things. Where are we offering activities at the wrong time? Maybe we need to shift them when we know there's going to be parties, Friday nights or Saturday nights, and get some of those teenagers out of those big groups and give them a safe place to have fun and to do some things. So.
But a lot of times it's not even the teenagers, it's the
Parents.
people. No, I mean, it's people who aren't even attending
Yeah.
the party that come because they have a beef with somebody who is attending the party. And then it makes it, you know, it makes it a bad environment for the kids who were just there,
Well,
But
trying
this is
to
what
have a
happens.
good time.
I mean,
This
I've
is
had-
what happens right here, and we see it every day. I've just dealt with cases this week. All it takes is one text message to somebody saying somebody's with this girl.
Yep.
And then next thing you know, it's blowing up all over Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They're taking pictures, and people don't know how to. The kids don't know how to handle, you know, that negative response, and they turn it into a negative response. But if they're not there at that party, then that can't happen, you know, or it could happen. But at least it could be monitored better with security and, you know, police officers. This is it. This is what makes all of that happen.
I mean, but I had murder cases that involved just the bumping into an SUV. Literally, the person physically bumped walking into an SUV and was killed outside of a party. I mean, I've had it where people had words within a party and came back later, days later, and a murder occurred. Multiple homicides. So, I mean, and that's historically, it's not just now, it's happened over my 28 years in practice. But it's getting far worse. I mean, it was
And it is because of the rampant availability.
right of the
of
firearm,
handguns.
and the firearm is huge. And you can't blame Norfolk PD about it, not at all. But we need a plan. We need to talk to the feds and see what they can offer in federal prosecutions on the use of the firearms, and because frankly their penalties sometimes are most of the time they're heavier, but sometimes they're not. But it does shift the prosecution to federal court. It's quicker to get prosecutions done there. You're going to get your more guaranteed prosecutions there, your more guaranteed convictions there. So if we could get a suspense back, I mean a date back, because I mean this is something that every one of us has talked about here at the table. We really need, you know, come back in 2 weeks when you've had a chance to talk to Mike, get together, figure out where we can go, and then tell us perhaps where we're
What
going to be
avenues
this
there
summer.
might be.
I mean, it's just embarrassing as a city. We're
I know.
doing good as a city, and then you've got a weekend of nonstop news coverage of shootings in Norfolk. How do you then get young families to want to move into Norfolk? You know, knowing that their child could get shot. So it's an image issue. It's a safety issue. It covers so many different areas, which is why we've all discussed it. I mean, that's.
The other thing is the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. I know that they do a program in the community, and it's something like See Me Now or See Me Later or something or another like that. And it basically talks about if you want to get involved in the community and do good things, this is the road that you're seeing me in right now. But if you break the law and you're in front of an attorney, in front of a public, you know, with a public defender or whatever, then if you're seeing me later, I can't help you. And it talks about the penalties and some of the things that are misnomers with young people where they think they can get away with things because they're minors, or, you know, some of their peer lawyers have never been to law school a day in their lives. You know, so it talks about things like that. So that might be another resource that we could draw in. And the sheriff has a program also that is similar, but it deals with gangs. And so it might be a good opportunity for us to go into the schools and take all of these I don't wanna say all this ammunition, but all these resources to our schools and work with the young people there, and especially in some of our public housing projects.
You need a
some.
scared straight.
Why don't you just bring everybody to the table
Excuse me.
and invite them all here and tell them why they're coming. They can all tell us what their resources are. And then when you invite the Commonwealth Attorney, ask them what their connection is to the U.S. Attorney's Office, because there is usually a liaison there. And then what they can offer from the federal side, or even invite one of the United States attorneys over, one of the managing ones over, and they can tell you. I mean, we need a plan before the summer hits, because it's bad now. And I'm not saying we needed it yesterday, but it's going to get worse.
And we need something to include the parents too. We talking about the young people, something that they can lock into on keeping your children safe and know where they are, and just, making sure that they are responsible and teaching their children how to be responsible.
Okay, new topic. I was invited along with a number of other mayors from around the Commonwealth to have lunch with the governor today at the mansion to talk about his Medicaid expansion program. And he handed out some numbers that were pretty interesting, and as far as his proposed budget that he offered yesterday to the General Assembly, which I think was the House adjourned, or the House Appropriations Committee, without even reading the bill, rejected it and adjourned. In Norfolk, there are over 13,000 uninsured Medicaid expansion eligible folks. Those are 13,200. And they are basically the poorest of the poor. I know there have been some reports about they could sign up for the
Using the marketplace.
Obamacare marketplace, but that assumes that number one, you can pay a premium regardless of how low it is. Not to mention there's a $6,500 deductible with all of that. But so this is money which this $200 million or so over this 2-year program, there is no risk to that anybody can discern, and there is and it's 100 federal dollars, 100 federal bucks. If that money, the $200 million were then reallocated throughout the system, for instance, in education, it would mean nearly $1.8 million to the city of Norfolk next year. And then in the following fiscal year, it's another $3.5 million. So not only is there an moral imperative to try to do the right by our poorest citizens, but it also makes good sense for education, for job preparedness. And it goes on and on. And by the way, there was Mayor Jones from Richmond was there, Mayor of Roanoke was there, Mayor Wallace from Hampton was there, Mayor of Suffolk, the Mayor of Charlottesville, from Lynchburg, Harrisonburg, from Loudoun County. It was from all over the state. And there was, with the exception of a couple of folks, there was nearly unanimous support for the governor's plan, with the exception of a couple people. I don't want to speak for everybody in the room. And the notion that somehow that the locality should get more engaged with trying to convince our General Assembly members. I don't think most of our folks need much convincing, but to support this plan, and the governor's staff was there. By the way, you can't go into a meeting in Richmond and somebody say, "How's Marcus doing?" It's just Mayor Jones from Richmond. How's Marcus? I say he's terrible. Leave him alone. The Secretary of Finance, is Marcus doing okay? The Deputy Secretary.
He's doing great,
The
and we can't have it back.
The Deputy Chief of Staff. How's Marcus? I said, Suzette, he's okay. All right, but it happens every meeting. So. But the notion was that if we passed a resolution, it might at least we can go on record. And so maybe next week, even though we don't have a voting time, I don't know that. We literally could bring something. He had a proposed ordinance. I'll try to circulate it early to the, not an ordinance, just a resolution to the council. If you feel like it's something you can support. Virginia Beach is actually going on record supporting, the governors for the Medicaid expansion. I think every locality in Hampton Roads, maybe not Chesapeake, but every other one is already from Portsmouth on. So You know, when you've got 13,000 people in your own city that could take advantage of this, plus the money it can mean for education, plus he's, put money into public safety. I mean, there's a whole series of things that he has done with the money. So anyway, we'll bring that on next week and we can talk about it more. Okay. All right, that's all I have. Thanks.
Mayor and members of council, we have 5 more items, but before I turn it over to Mary Miller, who is the president and CEO of the Downtown Norfolk Council, I think you will see sprinkled throughout the room a number of Norfolk State University students, social work students who are here tonight to observe government leadership and some of the community development efforts throughout the city. So if you notice a packed house, that's because we have some additional guests tonight. So after Mary, we will have David Sullivan, and I think we're committed to you to give you quarterly updates on what we've called smart processing. And he's going to give you an update on the One-Stop Development Service Center that began, I believe, Monday here in City Hall. And then Ron has 2 updates, one the PPEA and also a plan as it relates to HRT and the service level agreement. I do believe we have some staff from HRT also. And then lastly, Jim Reddick, we gave you a little bit of overview last week, but there's an item on the formal docket tonight, and that's our revised emergency operations plan. So he has a short presentation to give you an update on what you will be voting on tonight. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Mary.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to give you an overview of the Downtown Improvement District and some background on the district, and then talk about the accomplishment that the district has achieved over the past almost 5 years now of our renewal. And I'm joined this evening by Jim Wofford, who is the chair of our Improvement District Renewal Steering Committee and is also the vice chair of our board and will be our incoming chair in July. So. Some of you are probably very familiar with what a special services district are. I know there are a number of members of city council who were on the council when the original district was put into place. But basically, what special services district, as it is in the state enabling legislation, we here locally call it the Downtown Improvement District. And they're areas that a locality will designate where facilities and services are provided above and beyond what the city itself will provide in those services. So for downtown, it falls into our clean team, which works 7 days a week, our public service ambassadors, which serve as on-street concierge. They provide extra eyes and ears for the police department. They provide directions and information for our visitors in downtown. And it also provides our ability to do marketing and communications and public relations and special events in downtown as well, and special projects during the year. So a little bit more background on the district itself. It was originally put into place in 1999. It was when City Council ordained a 48-block area in downtown as the improvement district. It was in April 1st of 1999 when the first tax was levied, and it is where private and property owners have contributed over $19 million to the improvement district since 1999. The district was reordained by City Council in 2003, again in 2009, and our current district expires at the end of June of this year. Since it's been in place, it has been managed by the Downtown Norfolk Council. This is a map of the district. The boundaries have stayed the same since the district was put in place in 1999. So it goes all the way from the Elizabeth River on the south to Virginia Beach Boulevard on the north, follows St. Paul's Boulevard on the east, and does a little bit of a jog, but basically follows Duke Street on the west. The improvement district has been managed, as I mentioned, by the Downtown Norfolk Council. So the council is a 501c6 corporation, and according to our bylaws, we have 30 directors. 16 of those directors are from the improvement district, representing the property owners, and 14 of them represent the Downtown Norfolk Council membership, because we still wear our membership hat as part of our organization as well. The directors serve staggered terms of 3 years. And then we also have liaisons representing other organizations or institutions that are approved by the executive committee. They serve 1-year terms with no term limits. And our liaisons today are organizations such as Seven Venues, Festivents, Visit Norfolk, and obviously our local civic leagues, the Downtown Norfolk Civic League, the Freemason Civic League, and recently we added the Ghent Neighborhood League since they do adjoin the district to the north. Each year, the board approves a work plan and a budget reflective of the priorities that the staff and the executive committee bring forth to the board. And then we work on that work plan during the year. We provide city reporting on that plan as well. The Downtown Norfolk Council also does have a 501c3 entity, the Downtown Norfolk Fund. So that allows us to collect charitable donations for things like the plot a couple of years ago. And currently we're using that fund to accept donations to do projects within the Arts and Design District. In anticipation of the fact that we were going to be going through the renewal, the organization conducted a strategic planning process on itself. So not on downtown, but on the organization itself, to make sure that our priorities and the things that we were working on aligned with where we really needed to go in the future. So out of our strategic planning process, we had a few recommendations. One was that we were doing a good job at marketing and promotion, but we needed to ratchet up what we were doing in downtown. That our clean and safe programs were good. They needed to basically stay stable where they are, but that we should do more convening and advocating of organizations and groups in downtown as well. And that we should just be the independent voice that is promoting downtown on a regular basis. We also updated our mission and vision statement. I won't read this, but I know you have a copy of the presentation, so you can follow that. A little bit of the history of the rate. In 2003, the rate was 18 cents per 100, and the DNC share at that time was 18 cents. In 2009, the rate was lowered to 16 cents. DNC gets 15 cents of that for management of the improvement district, and the city share is 1 penny, and that goes towards a fund for arts-related projects. We recently, in anticipation of the DID renewal, went through a steering committee process. The steering committee has recommended that the rates stay the same and the term of extension stay the same, as well as the boundaries. That recommendation was brought forth to our board, which at their last meeting, they accepted that recommendation and approved that recommendation. We've also had, I did a presentation to the Downtown Norfolk Civic League back in January, and at the Civic League's meeting on March 17th, they also supported that rate.
Can I ask a quick question? Why
Sure.
not extend the boundaries since downtown has technically grown out of those boundaries? Is it too political, too controversial?
We talked about that during the process and said that we would let it go for now, but we would have that conversation going into the next renewal. But that it probably will take us a year to 2 years to do that. It's a lot of one-on-one meetings, obviously, with the property owners to talk about that, whether you extend or constrict the boundaries. So the consensus was, as I said, to keep them as they are for today.
Can't stretch it all the way to Ocean View.
So the Downtown Improvement District draws from a number of, the revenue draws from a number of property classifications, obviously commercial office being the largest, and then retail and services. The retail, one of the largest being Jim's property at MacArthur Center, and then residential condominiums has been a growing, percentage of our property classification is downtown as well. So, and then vacant land ends up being something like where the Z lot was, and then some cultural institutions. On the expense side, this pie chart just shows how we break it down from an expense in programming, our, public safety and hospitality and public space. A lot of that is personnel. A couple of years ago, we implemented what we call a flex team so that we have the ability to move staff from clean team to public service, which gives us a lot more flexibility. And then, as I said, marketing and then overhead and key objectives. So quickly to go through some of our accomplishments over the past 5 years, we partnered during light rail construction to do a construction mitigation campaign. So that was everything from signage when streets were closed to businesses being open. It's when we implemented our Street Smart email campaign, which we use today to notify people about street closures in downtown. and the stay and play that we did, which was to drive business to our restaurants and establishments in downtown during that construction period. The other thing we did also was we created a snap map on our website, which we still use today, which provided us the ability to show lane closures and street closures, and that is also something we continue to use. Under placemaking and complete streets, over the years, we've done our bike rack public art project, which we have 5 bike rack public art pieces in downtown. The lights and the trees on Granby Street. This past fall, the Sheros on Granby Street, and obviously the plot. And events, ongoing, we've had Restaurant Week for a number of years. We continue to do that in January and July. This year we launched some new events, which was an Employee Appreciation Day last May, which we will do again this May. Obviously, First Fridays, which I know many of you are aware of. We partnered with Fest Events to do what we called the Fun Spot, which was a pop-up party that appeared in different locations throughout downtown during the work week last summer. And then we partnered with Revision Norfolk last September to do the Parking Day. This program was something we had for a number of years. It was not recommended that we keep our retail recruitment program in our strategic planning process. But when the project was up and running, we had conducted a retail analysis of Granby Street and in downtown in general. We've actually did update that last fall. We created a business resource guide. We were working on notifying people about activities in downtown. And then out of that, we also implemented a Catalyst funding project, which gave us the ability to provide a loan for Urban Outfitters, as well as a facade improvement grant. And the facade improvement grant is something that we continue today. It's up to a $10,000 match, and we fund that every year. And then marketing and communications, we have a reasons campaign, the many reasons to make it downtown. Downtown Works for Me is our commercial office marketing campaign. We also obviously manage a website, have implemented a mobile website, and do quite a bit with social media as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Google+. And then on the operations side, Fred, since we've had him since 2009, he's now logged over 30,000 miles in downtown. And he provides free rides every day for people going to or from a destination in the improvement district. This past year, we partnered with Public Works to get on-the-go recycling in downtown. And we also partnered with Keep Norfolk Beautiful to do the Butts Out Downtown campaign as well. And finally, we continue to work on advocacy, so that over the past few years has been everything from food trucks to character districts to the changes that you've all recently approved for the Chapter 9 of the zoning ordinance and the Arts and Design District as well. And questions?
Barry,
Yes.
What is the base assessment now versus 2009 for?
It still is. It's the property owners in downtown pay an additional 16 cents per
I
hundred.
understand, but what is the gross assessment for the property?
The total, I didn't have that in my file, the total.
So now it would be 115 plus 16, but if you
I'm
went
talking about
back,
the
you're
tax.
asking.
I'm talking about.
The actual total
assessment
base
of
assessment of the property.
Compared to what it was. Wouldn't you have to have that to do a? Just approximate. If you don't have it, I can get it later.
The total taxable or assessment for downtown is just about 1.7 billion
That's now.
now.
Do you have what it was?
And then in 9, it was slightly. It was 1.70. It hasn't changed much since 09. So it increased from originally 7.61%, and then the net change the next year was only 0.47, and then it would dropped, and then it went up again 0.5%.
About level from.
Right, which is why the recommendation was to keep the rate where it is. So because we haven't in previous renewals, we've seen large increases, percentage increases in the assessed value over this past 5 years. Based on what the economy, certainly we haven't seen those increases.
questions? Right, Mary, thank you, that was
You're
great.
welcome.
Thanks.
David?
Good evening, members of council. I'll give you a quick update on where we are with the Smart Processing Initiative. First, I want to just hit real quickly where we are with Norfolk Cares, the Impact Center. As you know, we have expanded hours now. We open at 7 a.m. every day during the week, and we go till 6 p.m. And last month, we answered a little over 10,000 calls. We're seeing that number the last few months bounce between about 10 and 12,000. It'll probably jump to about 15,000 starting next month when we get into the busy season, when there's far more bulk waste pickups, grass cutting issues, and those kind of things. So we're handling quite a few calls, as you can see, about 532 per day. Right now, we have 9 call takers taking those calls. We have 1 vacancy. Our average hold time, about 1 minute and 29 seconds. Although I'm looking at that number because we have several stats that come out of our phone system, and I want to make sure that when reviewing it yesterday, I wasn't confident that it's that high. I think it's actually much less than that. And just the kinds of things, we also got 472 emails in the month of February.
Is that big or small? Because you think emails would be a little bit higher?
Well, I think you'll see with the online request, more people are using the form online rather than are using email. So we had about 1,300 online requests coming in from the website, about 63 per day. So combining those, we're getting about 10% of our calls through electronic, through the web, email, the website, and the others are phone calls. Again, we're closing about 56 per day. There are always a handful of calls that come in that take a lot longer to close. The vast majority get closed pretty quickly, but some things, people call in and their issue is, well, my street floods when we have an unusually high tide. Well, that's not one we generally are going to fix in a couple of days. It's going to take a long time. So, but we keep those requests out, and we generally spend some time researching and then provide an answer back, and we close those once the answer goes back. Request Tracker is our service on the website and with iPhones, and you can see that we've received about 27,000 Request Tracker requests for services, and about 1,700 of those have come in through the iPhone mobile app. About 91% of all the requests are processed directly by the 9 staff members in the Norfolk Cares Assistance Center, and about 9% go directly to the departments to be handled there. Our average close time is about 10 calendar days, or about 7 work days for all of them. But the vast majority get closed in about 2 days. We have some that last a long time, and they tend to drag the stat for the average a little bit higher.
Do we have any plans to get apps for non-iPhone users?
Yes. We're working with Civic Plus, who's the vendor who provides the city's web content management system, and they are building a new app for both the iPhone and an Android app. So we're hoping to deploy that. Actually, it was originally scheduled to be available earlier this year, and it still hasn't been released. So we want to make sure it works before we push it out there.
Absolutely.
What we've completed so far in smart processing over the roughly year and a half or 2 years that we've been working on it, we completely redeveloped the Norfolk Air site, property information site. We saw record usage of that during the snowstorms, numbers that we hadn't really seen ever before, and it was interesting. And so that's continuing to be a place that people are going to for more and more information. Today we have about 300 elements of information on property, including all the recent building permits, code violations, their status. You can find all that on Norfolk Air. We spent a great deal of time looking at what other cities do, talking to the people, our customers in our city, our citizens, and kind of benchmarking before we started making changes to the system. One of the things that came right off was you ought to be able to pay with a credit card, so we've implemented point-of-sale systems in the planning department. We had those over in permits for a while, but we did not have them up on the 5th floor of City Hall in planning. That's been done. We've done a whole series of technology upgrades, and I could go through all of them, but it's a lot of things have been upgraded, from computers to software applications. And I'll talk a little bit more specifically about how some of those impact the services we're providing our citizens. The key thing I want to mention is our Development Service Center opened yesterday on the 4th floor of City Hall. So we've been referring to it as a one-stop center. It's not a true one-stop in that you could do 100% of everything, but you can do most everything at the 4th floor of City Hall today as far as getting a permit. And by moving it to City Hall, if you're not able to do it on the 4th floor, the odds are you can do it either on the 5th floor, the 2nd floor, or the 1st floor. So some things that you have to do with a business license, you have to go to the Commissioner of Revenue to do. So, you know, we have everything in the one building, and that was one of the things we heard from our customers, the ability to stop the runaround downtown, running back and forth between the two buildings. The staff is really excited. I'll show you a couple of pictures of the space. It was a space that had been occupied by a canteen for a while, and we relocated the canteen to a smaller space, and we're able to repurpose this, and it worked out pretty well. We've also implemented electronic building and site plan review. We're doing that mainly in the commercial buildings. We're starting with all the fire sprinkler installs. That'll be coming soon, and then we're doing some residential, but we'll begin to do the residential plans through electronic as well. But all the commercial is coming in through electronic plan review now. So this is our service. That's Annie, who's sitting at the front desk and greeting one of our first customers yesterday. And then this is the long view. You can kind of see the customer area is on the right side of the picture. The staff cubicles are on the other side. It's bright, it's open. It allows people to see what's going on. So everybody in the room is aware when a customer's there. If somebody's just not right at their desk, there are plenty of other people who can see what's going on. And I think it's going to give us a much better environment to deliver great customer service. There's one of the large monitors. We have 30-inch monitors that are about this big on all the plan reviewers' desk. And one of the commercial plans that they were looking at yesterday when I trooped through the office with my camera. So the office also contains staff from public utilities, so you can get all your utilities, taps, and fees paid while you're doing that. A fire marshal will be staffing the office starting next week so that all those permits get taken care of. And then planning is sending a person from the 5th floor down to be there during the hours they're open to deal with any planning issues. So we're very close to being able to do pretty much everything right there at the counter. And I think it's a much more welcoming environment. We spent a lot of time. We did customer service training. I had one of the staff members tell me yesterday that, you know, he'd been here for years, never had customer service training, how much they appreciated us spending some time and investing some training with them. So I think it's really turning out good, and I've really been impressed with how all the staff has embraced the project. They were really excited yesterday, had new shirts on, really looked like a team to deliver great customer service. We have some more initiatives underway. We're working to publish the site plan review activity on the web so people can check and see where their plan is in the review process without having to call us or come visit us. We've also developed the citywide telephone answering standards, and we're kind of now fleshing them out. This was our first project. We trained on those standards with this group, and our next phase will be to roll those out across the city. There are a number of land use issues that planning and George Homewood's been leading to kind of simplify the regulations and make the whole process work better. So we've completed some of them, standardized the use tables in all the districts, simplified the downtown regulations. You probably remember a number of those ordinances coming across your agendas over the past few months. We streamlined the zoning certificates for fences, which is one of the major issues that we heard a lot of concern about. And we have some more underway that are in various stages of the process coming to you through the Planning Commission. And I believe you have one on your agenda tonight dealing with parking regulations. So we're working through those as we go along. We have some more updating PCO regulations, some open space landscaping changes, and then we're working towards a complete overhaul of the city's land use and permitting regulations. To do that, we're looking to hire some expert help to help us through that. Writing a zoning ordinance is something most staff don't do on a regular basis, and so we're looking for folks that have written and rewritten zoning ordinances. In fact, we have an RFP on the street, and we have our first pre-bid meeting with interested responders this Friday. So that's moving along pretty fast. And the goal would be to accelerate that process and get us a brand-new zoning ordinance from top to bottom. We have some more initiatives trying to get the use of tablets like iPads and other devices like that to the field staff so that they can be more effective. Many of them have laptops today, but I think the tablet is a much more effective device. Working towards online submittals for permits, and that's requiring us, we've been trying to retrofit our 19-year-old permit voting system. So, our permit issuance system. So I often say, our permitting system can vote. It's old. It's old technology. So it's been a challenge to get the onlines, but I think we're headed down the right track to get that so that we can take, certainly we're working towards getting electrical, mechanical, and plumbing permits, which are pretty straightforward to get those in an online process. And that new system would provide for tracking of all the permits and inspections, as well as moving towards an evaluation of all the permitting fees, which I think we've talked to you before about how complex some of those can be. Again, the challenges, it's just keeping up with everything else we're doing, keeping up with the technology. Hiring staff is always challenging. The job market has turned around for technology professionals, so it's a little harder for us to recruit. We have a hard time competing on salary, but we're struggling to keep staffed up in order to keep all these initiatives moving forward. Again, I think where we really got the customer service, we're making that a priority, and we'll be monitoring it closely over the next few months to see how well all of our changes have taken and what we might need to tweak to make sure we have a good customer experience in the Development Services Center.
When you say salaries are an issue, what's the average and what do we pay?
I haven't done a comprehensive study. We've looked at a few positions, and we find that we're trailing the market by 20% or more.
Wow. Is that with experience, or
Yes.
is that's with experience?
So, we have an aging workforce. I have a lot of people who have been here 30 years or close to 30 years. And so I'm concerned about over the next 5 being able to keep up with bringing new staff in. So, but we're seeing Marcus is committed to making the city an employer of choice. And
What is the entry level?
depends on which position. If you're talking about a computer technician who's working just doing computer support, desktop support, that's going to start somewhere in the 30s, mid-30s. For salary, most of our people are making in the low to mid-40s that are doing that kind of work. Programmers and analysts, they're typically more starting in the mid-40s to the mid-50s. And we have some people who are closer to the 70,000 range. But I often see talented young programmers who have 4 or 5 years of experience, maybe even less, getting $70,000, $80,000 in the marketplace on a regular basis. And we've lost a number. I've had some of my employees leave, and they've raised their salary by $20,000. So it's a competitive job market. And again, we're trying to make this the best place in the region to conduct business and to get us out of the way of progress and make it a nice facilitation so that people have a good experience and that we do the right thing and that people want to come here and do business because it's easy. I'm happy to answer any other questions.
So go ahead. The smart processing has to do mostly with the technology part of the Norfolk CARES and code enforcements, or does code enforcements come under this?
So smart processing is and Marcus might want to describe it best, but I'll give a first shot.
Okay.
It's looking at everything we do and saying, are we doing it the best way possible? It's not just technology. We've looked at far more than technology. It's business process, it's training, it's getting the right people in the right jobs. There's a lot of things, and in many cases, it's looking at our processes and our regulations saying, do we need these anymore? Or do they need to be different? Because we have a lot of requirements and laws that have been on the books for 50 years, may have been a great fit when they were put there, but they don't match today's environment. And so we need to look at those. So to me, that's what smart processing is. It's literally, I think, everything we do, we're going to look at through that lens and see if we can make it better.
Okay. The Norfolk Air, I like the way you redid that piece, because I use that a lot. And I have used that request for tracking things, but the issue's been taken care of now, but looked like I didn't get a response back to how it was being handled, but the issue has been taken care of. And this code, how does the code enforcement fit under here? This doesn't, I'm meeting with Mr. Harris, so maybe he'll explain all that to me when I meet with him next week.
So the code enforcement staff is basically, they're charged with going out in the community and doing the code enforcement. So the way they work with Impact Norfolk Cares is a close relationship. When we get a complaint, it goes down. In fact, I see those guys coming up and down the Impact. We're all in the same building. I see them coming up and down every day, going up to Impact to talk to them about complaints they've had and what they've done to deal with it. So, you know, we keep track of every one that we get, and we keep track of the resolutions.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to say, I think you guys are doing an outstanding job. I know it's not perfect still, but just from when I joined council 4 years ago, and the average amount of complaints that I would get weekly on follow-up, whether it's code issues or failure of the city to respond, I hardly get any now. And I think it's because of this. The tracker system, I think, is outstanding. I think the fact that citizens can get instant feedback. They have a number now, so they don't have to call a councilman to get the answer. In fact, my only complaint is that we're not advertising this enough. I'm still speaking at civic leagues and telling them about this, and they have no clue that this is even there. Updating the brochures. I had some Norfolk Cares brochures still that I'm giving out that don't even have this in it. So we've got to get new brochures out there. We need to run Compass ads. We need to do classes for Civic League presidents to learn about it so they can go back and tell their citizens about it. And I think it will actually end up helping us out if they're doing it online because I think it's less time. It's probably easier to track it than having those phone calls coming in. Like bulk waste trash pickup, people don't know that you can do that online and get a tracking number from it. So.
Well, it's definitely lower cost to handle it as an online request. But I have to tell you, my team of ladies in the Norfolk Care, they give such great service that people call them and they just want to talk to them.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just amazed at
Yeah.
the relationships they've built with a number of our citizens.
They're like shreds.
But it is working.
Exactly.
It definitely is working. So thank you for putting all that together.
I called Norfolk Cares. I was coming home from doing radio one Friday morning, and there was a dead dog on the side of the street. And then in my mind, I'm like, who do you call for a dead dog? And then I called Norfolk. It's about 7:15, and they were very friendly. I didn't tell them I was a council member or anything like that, and they were very friendly. And then they offered to, is there a number we can call you back and let you know? I was like, no, just, handle the dog or whatever. PSAs are also an opportunity for advertising. We spend a lot of money with the pilot. We spend a great deal of money with the Journal and Guide. We could get an occasional public service announcement that advertised our Norfolk Cares, maybe something the size of a business card or something like that. And then also maybe do a PSA with the radio stations. They'll try to push you into advertising because they'll go, well, we don't know when it's going to run. It doesn't matter when it's going to run as long as it does run. And they can do that for free for Norfolk Cares and get that information out on the radio and whatnot so that people can know where they are. You asked about codes, Alvita. I was going to ask about technology upgrades for codes because they're, from my last conversation with Lorenzo, they're a little antiquated in their technology
They have
as
tablets?
compared to some other
They don't. They have laptops.
districts or localities.
And they're using the same Naviline application that we're using in permits. And the issue with that is it's not tablet friendly. The technology is old. It's It's AS400 based technology.
It's voting too?
Old.
It's drinking, it's not voting.
Yes.
It's drinking, okay. Alright.
Are you addressing that in the budget, Marcus?
The technology.
Yes.
We intend to have an ongoing allocation for smart processing. It won't just be at 1 year.
I'm just wondering why we're keeping the software. Is it because it's that expensive to replace it?
We're looking at options. We have some funding currently set aside, and we've been focused on getting the center up and running. And it's always dangerous when you try to do too many things at once. And so our next step is to look at that system. We're looking at some hosted solutions that are a lot less expensive out of the gate. It's more pay-as-you-go instead of put a lot of money up front. And we've also looked at partnering with both Virginia Beach and Chesapeake with the application they're using, but that's a little more expensive than what we're looking at.
Just another idea, and sometimes we don't always have money in the budget for things that we want to do, and technology is something that's always changing. But there's always some startup or some Google kid or somebody who creates an app who needs a guinea pig. And if it's a good enough product that we could take their product with our resources as a city and not have to pay licensing and all of that so that they could use us as maybe a test market, that might be a partnership worth. I mean, we've got kids, young people from Norfolk State here. We've got Old Dominion, TCC. I mean, somebody in those schools has a brilliant mind that could probably come up with something or has come up with something and just really needs a chance to get it out there, and we could work with them with our resources and, kill two birds with one stone.
Great idea.
Totally agree.
Yeah, okay.
100%.
David, that was a great presentation. Thanks a lot. One of those aspects.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members, mayor, members of council. At this time of year, each year, as we're building our budget, also the regional transit authority is also doing that. And so we look at what we call this Norfolk Service Plan and interact with them really starting in the late fall on understanding of the different routes and how the system runs within the city. And at this time of year, we get some understanding of what the projected costs are to run the service. And so we're bringing to you early because it's the time of year where we have to communicate to them so they can do their planning. What HRT does this time of year is they they analyze what the whole system throughout the region will be as they receive the input from the cities for recommendations. As we're building our budgets, then they start working on their processes that they have for public input. They have various federal rules and regulations that they have to follow to then try to kick off the new service system year at the beginning of the year. This year, to give you some sense of what we have received from HRT for recommendations, was an 8.8% increase over the current level. And a lot what we're talking about with this evening is about the cost of the service. And in this recommendation from HRT to the city initially, at $19.5 million, what that included was adding portions of Route 44 and 45, which I'll go over those routes in a minute, into our service plan. That also they made recommendations for increasing our annual cost contribution for capital payments. And then they had built in that also the revenues that they would see from the increase in fare box revenue with the increase that will be implemented. What we're presenting this evening to you so that you will know what we're communicating and receive your feedback is a different option that essentially is close to level funding as we can from FY14 where we are just over 17.9 million. We're proposing a package of service plan this year at just over 18 million, and I'm going to walk you through that. The consideration for the incorporation on Route 44 and 45 that Norfolk would actually pay a portion of that is an understanding that these routes, previously they were implemented as closed-door service, meaning that from their point of origination to their destination into the other city, there would be no opportunity for a passenger to get onto the bus in that other city. Routes 44 and 45 previously ran to transfer centers when they came through the tunnels. But over the course of the past couple of years, and particularly with the advent of light rail, they actually made stops in Norfolk and were providing service within our city boundaries. I'm going to give you some understanding of how those routes work through the system. So that's the recommendation and why Norfolk would be paying a share of that. Similarly, routes coming in from Chesapeake and Virginia Beach, we have similar service where we pay if there are any stops in our city for the portion of the hours of service that run in our city. There are still some closed-door services that run into Norfolk, and one is an example that runs from Virginia Beach to the Navy base, and it's mostly on the interstate. We don't pay a portion of that. That's a similar closed-door service. A few weeks ago, or maybe it was a couple months ago, when Ray and team were here, you asked, do we look at utilization? Are we making sure that, as a data-driven organization, we're understanding that are the services being utilized that we're paying for on an annual basis? As we know, in this budget year, like many, we have to make choices and decisions about the services that we're providing. So we have done utilization analysis and looked at whether or not there are poor performers, for example, within the system, and I'm going to walk you through some of that. The benchmark that we use is we really focused in on any routes that were carrying less than half the number of passengers for the average per trip of the whole system. And our recommendation also does not recommend this year, in light of what we've been discussing over the past couple months with our budget scenarios, that we increase the advanced capital contribution this year, that we maintain the same level of service for this year. Asked for that it be doubled, yes. So you have maps at your seat because we might not be able to see all this on the screen, and those are large maps. Or if you don't have a map, they're great to have to understand the system. But again, what we're focusing on are 2 routes that we're adding and 2 routes that we're recommending for elimination this year. Routes 45 and 44 come through the tunnels, the 45 through the downtown, the 44 through the midtown. Route 16 comes from the Fort Norfolk light rail stop up Colley Avenue, circles around ODU, does have a little jog over at 21st Street. That route started when we opened light rail, and this past year we actually increased the frequency on it. And then Route 17 has been the downtown loop, which has gone through several iterations really over the past decade. It was from the free net to then when light rail came, it had different configurations. It's traditionally always run down Granby Street. We've had other services that laid over it and intertwined with it. But those are the 4 routes that we're talking about. So Route 44, this comes through the Midtown again and goes to the medical center. It has a couple stops and then does stop at the light rail station and then makes its way over to the Wood Street Transfer Center now. Our recommendation this year is that yes, we do pay for the portions for the stops around the medical center that come after it comes through the Midtown Tunnel, but that we stop the service at Fort Norfolk Light Rail Stop because any transfers coming to downtown, the transfer center, can be made from light rail. To give you some sense of the ridership, this is what we're showing here. This helps us understand the trends. Is there anything else going on, whether it be the Go 365 pass, or was there some other change in the timing, or was there an additional route that was added over the past 2 or 3 years that might have changed the patterns of the usage? And what we see here is that this has a pretty regular usage, and we'll look at the numbers on a table here in a minute. But this is one that we continue to recommend to have service. This is the type of service that brings employees to Norfolk that are filling the jobs that we have here in Norfolk. Another note about Route 44 is that the funding that's provided by Elizabeth River Tunnels to HRT will be an additive amount to increase the frequency and time, expands the time for Route 44 and 45 in the new agreement, and that starts this upcoming year. Is that correct?
July 6th.
Yeah. That funding that Elizabeth River Tunnels provides to HRT cannot supplant the level of service that we have provided and back according to their agreement. So this actually realistically will become a more utilized route as we've seen the trends of the impact of tolls on the tunnels. We know what it's doing to vehicular traffic. Now we'll start to see is there any shift also, and we have seen upticks in at least ferry service with the advent of tolls. So we'll start to see, particularly with the more frequent times and the expanded service on the 44 that's provided from Elizabeth River Tunnels, do we also get an uptick on utilization there? Again, on the 45, similar. And again, it's a lot of the employees that work downtown that are transit dependent or choice riders. This is what they use. Now, when we looked at the utilization, again, that benchmark of half of the average. The average here is on passengers per trip for our routes. The average in the system is 21. The weekday average of ridership is 1,400. Our most utilized route, Route 20, which comes from Virginia Beach, is that right? Is 4,600 a day. We look at Saturdays and Sundays. We parsed that out, and then we also did some analysis that I'm not showing here, also for late evening service and whether or not to focus in on that. When we selected routes 16 and 17, as you see here, what we have is an average per trip. Again, the system-wide is 21. The average per trip on 16 and 17 is 6. And then it drops down to 4 and 3 on Saturday and 3 and 2 on the weekends. There are other routes that we looked at, Route 2, 11, we did look at 4, we looked at 18, but unlike 16 and 17, there is not a parallel or close by service or even overlapping service for those other routes. So we're recommending Route 16 for elimination this year because what we still have, and looking at those that would use this service, is we have with Routes 2 on Hampton Boulevard, with Route 11 on Colonial Avenue, we do have the ability for parallel corridors moving north and south. We also have Route 4 that exists that connects Huntersville all the way over through 21st Street and up to ODU. So we have good service still in the area.
You're right. For your late services,
Mhm.
a lot of, I know a couple of people spoke to me that they can't get from Virginia Beach at night because they cut off bus service. Now, that's not us, that's Virginia Beach, or what?
Ray, please.
The city of Virginia Beach, there's only 2 routes that run past 7 p.m. The Route 36 on Holland Road down to Princess Anne and Tidewater Community College, and the Route 20, which runs till 1 o'clock in the morning after the oceanfront. All their other service ends at around 7 o'clock.
See, what that does, a lot of the service workers that go to work during the day in Virginia Beach can't get back home.
Absolutely. Only the 20 can bring you back home, but you have to get to Virginia Beach Boulevard in order to get back home. So all the north-south connecting routes stop service. That's what the city chooses to fund. It's a function of that cost allocation agreement that we live under, since we don't have a dedicated revenue source for operations.
Now, Route 17, we have essentially a complementary or almost duplicative service, the loops that run around downtown, but it's not the same loop. But we do have Route 6, 8, and 45 that can provide some loop service in the downtown. The interesting thing to see, that I should note here is that when you look at the ridership, when we made the movement in July of the transfer center to Wood Street, you see the significant drop here from where we were running between 600 and 1,000 per day in previous years on Route 17. We were down below 400 a day since we moved to Wood Street. People are choosing to walk essentially. To give you some idea about the financial impact, so Route 17 is $466,000 a year. Route 16 is $584,000 a year. So just over $1 million for those 2 lines. To pick up the service for the 44 and 45, that's about $475,000 a year.
And I'm sorry, where's the the frequency for the 44 and 45? Because they're doing a downtown loop. They're making up for one.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, and I didn't see it on here, and I apologize if it's on here.
It's not on the system
Okay.
map. The system
Yeah,
map
could you just let me know what it is?
graphic depiction. It's 44 runs till 7 p.m. and it runs 30-minute service in the peak and hourly service in the off-peak. 45 has 15-minute service in the peak periods, 30-minute midday, and then hourly service late at night.
Okay.
45 runs till midnight, so it's a late running service.
Thank you.
So in closing, council, we believe that this recommendation still maintains a commitment to provide a good transit service in the city. We do have goals to increase that in years, but we know we have service delivery choices this year. We try to especially look at and make sure that we maintain routes where we know that there's transit dependency. And anywhere where we have, again, some redundancy in the system, that's where we try to focus. And we believe we are not getting the bang for the buck for that $1 million with those two routes at this time. And so we recommend elimination. That's what we would report to HRT.
Can I ask you a question? I noticed, and I didn't hear you mention it, but very briefly, the 2 route that runs Hampton Boulevard,
Yes, sir.
there was a note up there about looking about adjusting, I think you're about adjusting those hours. Could you go back, Ron, to find that? Right there. We would consider for service hour reduction shown in blue. Give me an idea of what we're talking about.
The Route 2 runs late. It provides service up and down Hampton Boulevard to the Navy Base ODU and then to downtown connecting at Fort Norfolk. We had a discussion with city staff and gave them the facts about ratcheting back late evening service to something like 10 p.m. But after a lot of discussion, especially with the elimination of the 16, because that also runs late, we decided that it was better to keep that avenue open for people who were second and third shift workers
Okay.
to still have access up and down Hampton Boulevard.
Because I can tell you the 2, you have a lot of people that come from Titustown
Yes.
that take the bus up and they meet at Little Creek and Hampton,
Yeah.
and kids that go to ODU. So they have night classes,
Yes.
and you've got people, and I can tell you a lot of the people are working at the hospital. Because I will ride that route, and they get off right at the front door of the hospital.
We gave
So we
a
really have to be
menu-
very careful adjusting that
We
route.
gave a menu of options to staff to look at.
And that's why we're not,
And that's why
again,
we're not.
the filter was transit dependency in particular. So
Okay.
if we cut it off, no understanding that there were shifts, we
Right.
decided that there's no other option.
Yeah.
Unlike the 16, which is, is a shorter line.
No, I'm good with, I'm good with that. Just the 2, I think that, I mean, you've got to remember that the 2 not only connects Naval Base on one end, but which is a huge employer, but hospital on the other, which is a huge employer. And people that work in both those places ride that bus. And so you really can't cut that service back. If anything, make a smaller bus to save costs on it, if anything. I mean, I don't know if we need the larger bus. If we can take a smaller bus, then let's use that.
It's de minimis.
Thank you.
Ron, do we still have is there still a net bus again?
No, sir. Last year, we reduced what we call the northern segment of the, Route 17 with the net bus. We tried it. The ridership was very minimal.
Did Dr. Woodman know that?
Oh, yes, sir.
I've been on the bus and Terry's walking.
Maybe Ray can answer this. How do you
She's walking on
communicate?
it.
And, well, this is the end of.
How do you communicate to the
Something
citizens
Yes.
that you're ending this? Because
We tried it.
with the downtown.
a public notice doesn't do it. Do you give these people brochures for 2 weeks prior to it?
Post it
And-
everywhere.
We're going to start, depending on what comes out of tonight's meeting, we're going to start with the public notification process about, since July 6th is the implementation date, about the Route 16 and 17 are going to be eliminated. You have alternative routes that you can utilize. There'll be bus announcements on all the trips of each of those routes. Our website will have a special click here to learn more about your options. We're going to have tables set up at Wood Street at the downtown transit center, where our customer service outreach personnel will talk to, because they park in certain slots, talk to the customers of those routes as well, telling them that there's going to be the elimination by July 6th. We're going to do a media alert so that the papers will pick that up. Every avenue that we can, and our customer call center will also start sharing that as customers call in to remind people. We also have to, because these routes are partially funded by federal funds, we're required to have meaningful public input. So we've decided to have several public meetings in the communities that are served by these two routes, to let them know what their options are, and the routes are being eliminated due to poor performance. So it's a robust outreach program
great.
we're planning.
Okay. Thank you.
Hang on, Paul.
Thanks, Ron.
Yes, sir. Bus transfer station, we'll be awarding a contract for construction soon at the transit center. Essentially, I mean, we'd like to say it's been a huge success. We've had really no incidents out there, and operations are running well.
Looks
The
terrific.
traffic flow is well, so it really sets us up. Again, the reason that we recommend that not remain on Wood Street is because we will have redevelopment in the future. And we want to two-way that again, and we want that infill development to happen. And so moving it into the interior, that developable parcel will help us then that you can have that development happen the way it needs to.
Okay, when you say soon, you know what you mean by soon? Soon, you say.
Redevelopment?
No, you'll be awarding the contract soon?
Oh, John? See,
2 or 3 months to award, and construction starting this summer.
we have the final design.
Yes, sir.
And we still have the grant funding commitment from the state.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get them more definitive. It'll slide to 3 or 4, and then it'll slide to summer. I mean, even with the best of intentions, unless you absolutely put some deadlines in there. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
This is great stuff. You guys have done terrific.
Council, this is going to be brief, but we want to keep you up to date as we move through this process. We're getting near the end of the PPEA process. To remind you that we had a conceptual phase on the unsolicited PPEA proposal that we received from SB Ballard. We received solicited and received competing proposals from 2 teams, and
Can you give like a 2-second background for the benefit of the students that are here
Sure.
on the PPEA?
Absolutely.
So they kind of understand what we're talking about?
Absolutely. As a reminder, this is a procurement method essentially for construction of schools that the state allows us under the Public-Private Education Act to work under a process that's defined by the state and mirrored in our local codes for how we select a contractor, a development partner for a package of facilities. This happens to be a package of 5 schools that was authorized by City Council and for funding for last year. And so what we received from a developer was an unsolicited proposal. And again, this process that the state has established allows us to work through that and essentially work in what you would call similar to a design build type of environment, as opposed to a design bid build environment for procurement. So where we are now is we have reviewed and analyzed all of the proposals from the 3 teams, and we have not eliminated any of the teams. They all were, as I mentioned before, were strong packages. However, we have decided to go ahead and move forward and start negotiations with SB Ballard Construction Company, who, yes, was the unsolicited proposer. When we did the solicitations, the proposals did evolve even from SB Ballard, and that's where we were able to look at apples and apples comparisons and really have good interviews and understandings for what were the costs, what was their design approaches, what experience did they bring with their team to the table. And so we feel that in SB Ballard Construction, we have a strong partner that can give us a great product for these 21st century facilities.
You keep on saying "we," but can you define who the "we" is?
There-
Because people think that it was City Council
It is the,
that
at
picked
this
SB
point,
Ballard.
at this point, it is the PPEA review team, made up of executive staff of the city administration and the school system. The city council will be receiving, docketed in April, if negotiations go well and we get to the point where we will bring you an interim agreement that would approve us working through an interim phase with the developer. And what the interim agreement will have is agreements and funding for conceptual design up to 30%, for construction drawings, required public engagement workshops, some site work analysis, and then we are also going to recommend that the Campus Stella demolition actually occur in the interim period. What all that does is gives us information to inform and make decisions about what the final conceptual designs can be for the 5 schools, that then we can negotiate a final guaranteed maximum price from the proposer. And that would come back to council at that point, which we believe will take 2 to 6 months to bring a final comprehensive agreement for council approval on what the final package is. That's when you'll see the dollar amount that the 5 schools cost X, based on this conceptual design input, on the public engagement and input from the communities. And again, we believe that it's advantageous to get some of this work done in the interim agreement.
Okay, you said April would be probably the approval of the interim agreement.
Correct.
The next phase is public engagement. What is the timeline for the public engagement? Because I think that's where there's controversy that's happening right now with accusations and things that this is being done closed. I found that if you explain it to the public why this has all happened, why there's a PPA, the process that has to be followed, it takes away some of the controversy. But the public truly, it really wants to know when they're going to have an opportunity where these schools are impacting and other people who want to be involved in it, when they can have those discussions. That's where I'm hearing this is. And if we know when this is going to fall, then we should start picking dates right now and putting out where these are going to be and when they're going to be, and not wait 2 weeks before the meeting to advertise it, because that's, I don't know if anybody agrees with me, but that's what I'm hearing from the community.
I agree, and, there is this, people are sending a message that somehow all 5 of these schools are gonna be sort of cookie cutter renditions,
Right.
we're just gonna, and it's not.
We agree, and we are.
Okay.
We're doing that.
Okay.
Well, what I will tell you, there is a significant impetus for us to get Campus Stella done, particularly because the students are out of the school. And
I'll
so
agree with that.
we have that. It's the first school that we are going to build. And so as much as possible, we're fast tracking that now.
Didn't all the community conversations already kind of happen with Campus Stella?
No.
No.
More than any
No.
other?
No.
It didn't?
No.
No.
I
Not
thought
all
that's
of
how it
them.
was decided that it
No,
was
in
a
fact, we
STEM
had the
school.
Southside Task Force this morning and really
Okay.
got into
In
that.
terms of there was front side conversations, but in terms of or backside conversations, or however you want to put it, but then there's still more conversation to be had in terms of what the school's gonna look like, what the programming is gonna be. It's gonna be a joint effort between the city and the schools to make sure that they get that we get the best school possible, especially since it's a STEM school, over in Camp Stella. So yeah, we're gonna go back to them.
So we expect Camp Stella to kick off April, May, and then they would sequentially follow through the summer, and realistically wrap it up by the end of the
And we'll
summer.
probably learn something in every one of those. I mean,
Exactly.
just how the building sits on the site.
Right.
Where the drop-offs are. I mean, all of that stuff will be
Right.
very informative.
Right. And we will plan to use the classic charrette type of process for these workshops. We start with the concepts, let everybody come, give feedback, take the feedback, massage the concepts, come back and respond that did we hear you? Yes or no, validate that, and then move forward from there. So that's where we are. And we believe that really, again, what you're going to start to see is more incremental short milestones that are coming up. So, and it's not going to be just one school. Camp Stella is going to start to take the lead after you pass the interim agreement. That will kick it off, and then you're going to have multiple layers, because it's all kind of layered on top of when you're in design, when you're in public engagement. Are we ready? Are we starting to get to something close to a number that we can get to that guaranteed maximum price?
Your Honor, I don't know whether this was Tommy was talking about or not, but the individuals who believe that there's some architectural integrity in Larchmont and Ocean View, when will they get their chance? At it?
When we had the workshops.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And So we'll be ready to start to, settle on a date. We're working with the school system. We need to work with the council and everyone, we need several input to settle on those, but we believe that, again, Camp Stella will kick it off and then we'll start to flow through the summer.
So the public engagement workshops are to get what from the public? Not necessarily designed, because when they submit their packages, the cost of this is around certain designs and specs, correct? There can only be so many changes with that. Is it more about programming of what's gonna happen in those buildings? And maybe some minor things like, for example, all these school buildings should be equipped to handle active shooter situations, that you can shut down the front office and that's it. If we're gonna build new elementary schools, we need to build them to prepare for active shooters. But, I mean.
It's a combination of all those.
We don't need to build up the public's expectation that they're gonna be able to change the designs of these schools when we already know that there are specs already done for, there's a general
We have
understanding.
a baseline and some concepts that can
Right.
be used within the allocations that we have. They can be completely changed from what we have, yes.
Okay.
The opportunity's there. It's all about what are you willing to, to change. The key is in the beginning, and that's what we're already working on. We spent 16 hours last week working on programming and an understanding of what does the school system need for size of classrooms, what does the STEM program need, what the extra space or the breakout space. We're working through that. What's the state standard? What are the Title I standards that we need per pupil per classroom? So a lot of that's being done on the front end to understand, okay, what's the basic program for 1,100 students for Camp Stella? What do we need for that? Just as a bare requirement, just in numbers for a facility. And how it all aligns then comes in with the professional input about, well, obviously, curriculum and education happens in one wing. You want multipurpose in another wing. You want administration, and then you want security parameters that lay over all that. That builds in to then bring a concept. And then there's lots of tweaks and changes that can be made with an understanding of what's the basic cost for all that.
Okay, so now is the time for your staff to sit down with the press and explain to them what this process is, because there are questions being asked because nobody understands this process. We've discussed it once, but there's a lot of new information that I found out today about this process, and that's great. I think there's some people that know more than other people, and it's your staff. Your staff knows this. So how do we get this out to the public so that it looks, and we have, that the public understands this process? It hasn't been the most transparent to a fault. It's not our fault, though. It's just because people don't understand how this went about, the process. So we need to educate the public on that and make sure they understand where this is going from here on. We have not done a good job at that.
Sure.
It's also a big ticket item too. I mean, so, they would want to know. I mean, we're talking, I think, when you roll it all up, it was like $140 million in our budget to, I don't know if that's the right figure or not, correct? It was, but anyway, it's a big number.
Yes, it is.
I mean, when you put all these schools together.
Yes.
Maybe weekly or monthly updates on the city's webpage might be helpful. An outline or something on the city's webpage might be helpful as to the process from start to finish and where it is. I think one of the issues that does come into play with that is when you start talking about what's going to happen and you give dates, people get those dates stuck in their heads. And that can be problematic because things are fluid and they change. But some kind of update that, even if it's abroad in the next 2 to 3 months, we can expect this, or in the next 4 to 5 months, we can expect that. And that way it gives you something to refer people back to on the website that they can, and it also gives us an opportunity to tell our story. I still maintain that we can't tell our story if we don't buy ink by the barrel, and we don't buy ink by the barrel. But we do have a website, and so we can use that to tell the story that we want to tell and put the information up there, and then put it in a place where people can easily find it. They don't have to go digging for it.
I also want to thank you, Ron and Marcus. I mean, we came into a situation where it looked like these capital construction costs, like we didn't have a handle on them at all for all of these schools, but you guys have managed to get a handle on it. And, I mean, that's good. That's good for the taxpayer as well. So, thank you.
And then, Mayor, and Council, the last update we have is from Jim Reddick.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, and Mr. Jones. Thank you for the opportunity to present on our emergency operations and resilience framework. The clicker is here. I'll be very brief. I think I had 25 minutes, Mr. Jones. We are required by law to update our emergency operations plan every 4 years. And as you can see, there's two components in particular that we have to tackle. One is just that we do it every 4 years, and that we have a command and control element, and that we mention in there about the criminal justice services and criminal injuries compensation fund for a terrorist attack or whatever it is. We knocked that out. If you were able to take a look at the plan presented to you last week, that's knocked out in a very small section. But obviously, we want to do what's most effective and efficient for us as Team Norfolk. So we go way beyond what that requirement is. Likewise, there's a requirement for our higher education institution partners, Norfolk State, ODU, TCC, that they work through the local emergency operations center in terms of resource requests during a particular incident. So we also work with them, and we incorporate that into our plan. But the difference between this framework and the last plan that was updated in 2010 is the fact that it is a framework. It's all inclusive of what it is we need to prepare for. So we have our mitigation plan component. We have our emergency operations. We incorporate a capabilities assessment, the continuity of operations plan, and on down the line. So it's all inclusive in terms of what it is we're going to plan for and how we're going to be responsive, not just for emergency response, but in planning, mitigation, response, and recovery. We take the team approach, so public, private, not-for-profit, higher education, and military. Everyone in here is familiar with Team Norfolk, and that's exactly how we plan and respond together as a team. That's how we did it during Hurricane Sandy. That's how we did it during the winter storm in January and the nuisance snow events since then. We're doing it all as a team, all inclusive, one page, one fight. Inclusive and access as it pertains to functional needs. I know when we talk about access, we talk about accessing websites or information. But the other piece of access that I take as is we're inclusive of those with access and functional needs, those with special needs, making sure that they are addressed. We're planning for all abilities, not just the able-bodied, but everyone in our community. And we do that throughout our plans. And then again, focusing on the process. I always quote Mike Tyson and the fact that everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. So we have the process, we have the team identified, and so that's really, we'll be able to respond to whatever it is that we have to respond to. Along with the mitigation plan, obviously we're involved with the Rockefeller Foundation's 100 Resilient Cities. So we'd be remiss if we didn't incorporate that into our planning processes. So the discussions that we have for acute shocks and chronic stresses, we're incorporating that into our plan. And again, it's not just a response document. And then another piece is the capabilities and gap analysis. And this is one thing that you won't see in many other places, is Homeland Security has a list of target capabilities or core capabilities that need to be worked through for any type of hazard. So be it a natural or man-made event, if it's fatalities management or if it's communications or sheltering, there are certain capabilities and metrics that should be met. Having a certain response within a certain amount of time, being able to accommodate so many folks. That really hasn't been done in the past. So that to me is something that we have to have in order to gauge our level of success or lack thereof. So what I see moving forward next year and in future updates is telling you from this point on, this is the progress that we've made and with some hard data on how we've done that. But not only with communicating to you what our progress has been, but that type of information gives us what we need to identify what those gaps are and then develop pre-scripted requests to the state so we can match those requests. The comprehensive framework, like I said, there's 10 volumes from the mitigation piece, identifying what it is for which we have to plan, all the way down to outreach and education, everything in between. It talks about what it is we're planning for, the basic plan and the admin plan, what our requirements are to maintain this, who the team is, so we identify through this charter who makes up Team Norfolk, the public, private, not-for-profit, higher education, and military, as well as emergency support functions. We have it broken down, naming specifically who our partners are among these levels of government and sectors. And so within these emergency support function annexes, which ESF 1 is transportation, 2 is communications, 3 is public works and engineering. For our Norfolk State partners, ESF 6 is mass care, housing, and human services, where social work would fall under. There you'll find all of our partners, the contact list, memorandums of understanding, contracts, resources, everything that we need to make sure that we're communicating with everybody. No agency is left out, And again, it's all inclusive, not just for response, but everything. It's all connected. And then, of course, functional, supporting, and hazard-specific annexes. While we focus on the process, there are some things certainly where we have to have concrete plans, timelines, and the like, and that's kind of where we identify those. The continuity of operations plan, one thing that we were actually developing, in addition to just an overall city coup plan, is what happens when we have a federal government shutdown. Who'd have thunk that would happen, but there are significant impacts at us at the local level, so we're incorporating that so we know how to respond better the next time. And then the outreach and education plan, and I think that's on the next slide, is we want to communicate this plan. If the folks in the community don't know what our plan is, if the folks in the businesses in our community don't know what our active threat, our active shooter plan is, they need to know because it won't be effective at all. And that's, we've worked with the schools certainly on terms of the active shooter threat, but we identify through Team Norfolk, bang, bang, this is what happens. So we won't talk about obviously what the tactical response plans are, but you'll know who responds. From the 911 call, to police, to fire and medical response, all the way down to the medical examiner's office, the family reunification, the public relations piece. Everyone should have that information. So we're communicating that. We're going to be posting all of that to our website. We're working with the libraries, the rec centers to make sure that there's hard copies and electronic copies available to everybody. Because we want to communicate it, we want to challenge it all the time. We want folks to know what it is and call us out on anything that they can see needs improvement. So with that, I think I reached my 5-minute update. So that is my presentation. Yes, ma'am.
Are you including in there what people can do or should do should they find themselves in a situation where there is an active shooter?
Absolutely. We have in red text, this is your role. If this is your facility, this is your role. But also the public or the outreach piece is the Run, Hide, Fight campaign. So they'll have that. And all of our partners will have, if they want to do training on their own within their organization, there is training materials for them as well. But we identify, this is your facility, these are what the expectations are of you, and this is what else is going to come to the fight.
Okay, any other?
This really has to do, I guess, with Public Works and what you're talking about, Jim. Marcus, I think you might have missed the nor'easter that we had that flooded out Spartan Village. And I'm wondering, have we done anything through Public Works to kind of mitigate that, should that happen again, maybe, during this hurricane season, or are we just waiting for it to happen again?
No, I won't say we're waiting for it to happen again. John, you can chime in, but I know that area has been identified, and there's looks at mitigation funds through FEMA on how we can better address that. That's part of our discussions with our. I'm sorry?
We have mitigated.
Okay.
It won't happen again?
John, speak.
Never say never.
Two things. One is,
Never say never.
the area is quite low, and we have got some funds set aside to start purchasing some of the properties. The other thing that we did is we found there's a large culvert under Norfolk State, and we spent a few $100,000 taking dirt out of that, and we also have installed some weirs, valves to keep the tide from coming back in down by the railroad tracks. So I can't say it won't happen again, but we've reduced the possibility of it.
Yeah. Did you get enough money to acquire that whole ring?
We have enough to purchase some of the houses incrementally. They're not.
Within
not
that
up for
ring,
sale
that
yet.
ring. I thought the plan was to acquire those homes that make up that ring and put a retention pond or something like that would alleviate flooding throughout Brownville.
Yeah, the idea is to purchase those homes, and could be a retention pond or could be some other kind of development. We would need to have a retention pond somehow.
But what are we waiting for, though?
The key is willing sellers. Willing sellers.
Okay.
We own a couple, and we're under acquisition for one right now.
Okay, all right, thank you.
That's very important. I mean, how many years ago was that event?
4 and 5.
And Marcus, we've talked about this over time about the likely probability of the flooding occurring in Spartan Village because it is a bolt, and Paul called it a ring. But if there are monies available to purchase, I'm surprised there isn't a willing seller in there.
Not often. They're largely rental properties. They're not often willing.
Well, we certainly can't take any of them, but I'd want to find out if there's some properties, especially at the, as you drive in, you go to your right and down to that, as the bowl gets deeper, there might be some properties down in there. But at least we ought to, yeah, but I just, hard to believe we've only been able to buy one unit. So, anyway. John, Ron, I appreciate that, but I mean, it seems to me like the flood's coming at some point again, so, anyway, okay? All right, thank you.
Finally got it.